Before we dive in, I want to invite you to join my free community for mom entrepreneurs called the Momentum Hub. It's a calm, supportive space with weekly resets, simple guidance, and real momentum without hustle or burnout. You can join for free by going to momsmakemoneycollective.com/hub. Once again, that's momsmakemoneycollective.com/hub. I'll also make sure to have the link to join in the show notes so you can join that way as well. All right, let's get into the episode. Reinvention is the most expensive thing that you can do in your business. And most of the time, it's completely unnecessary. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Sustainable CEO Mom Podcast, the show for service-based moms who are done with hustle culture and ready to build profitable businesses that actually fit their lives. I'm Jenny Sunnison, business strategist, podcast mentor, and the founder of Moms Make Money Collective. Let's build something sustainable. Hey, and welcome back to the Sustainable CEO Mom Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Sunnison, and today we are talking about something that I know so many of you are feeling right now, that itch to blow everything up and start over. You know the feeling. You're looking at your business, you're looking at your offers, your content, your systems, maybe even your whole brand. And something inside of you is saying that this isn't working. I need to start fresh. I need a new niche, a new offer, maybe even a new everything. And I want to talk you off that ledge today. Not because reinvention is always wrong, but because 9 times out of 10, you don't actually need a reinvention. You need a reset. And those are two very different things. And by the end of this episode, you are going to know exactly which one you actually need and what to do about it. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about what reinvention actually looks like, because I think that we tend to romanticize it. Reinvention sounds like freedom. It sounds like a fresh start. It sounds like finally getting it right this time. But here's what reinvention actually looks like in practice. You spend weeks, sometimes even months, in research mode. You're consuming content, you're taking courses, you're workshopping your new niche, you're rewriting your bio, and you're questioning every decision that you've ever made. You're in your head constantly. And the whole time, you're not making any more money than you were before. You're not showing up for your audience, and you're not moving forward. You're just spinning. And then, this is the part that gets me every time. You come out on the other side with your shiny new direction and realize it's not that much different from what you were doing before. Because the fundamentals of your business, they were actually fine. The foundation was actually solid. What was broken was a few specific things that felt bigger than they actually were because you were burned out, overwhelmed, or just deep in a hard season. Reinvention is a really expensive solution to a problem that usually has a much simpler fix. So you may be wondering, what is a reset? A reset is targeted, it's strategic. It says, I'm not throwing out the whole business. I'm looking specifically at what's not working and fixing just that. A reset acknowledges that you've built something real. You have an audience, even if it's small. You have offers, even if they still need a little bit of tweaking. You have skills and expertise and a track record. You don't just abandon all of that. You build on it. So here's the analogy that I keep coming back to. Imagine that you've been driving for hours and your car starts making a funny noise. Reinvention is pulling over, getting out of the car, and deciding you're going to walk the rest of the way. Whereas a reset is pulling over, looking under the hood, and figuring out exactly what's wrong and trying to fix it. Same destination, smarter solution. And here's the thing. A reset is also faster. So much faster because you're not starting from zero. You're course correcting. And there's a massive difference between the two. But I also want to be honest about why reinvention is so tempting, because it's not irrational. There are reasons that we go there. And the first reason is burnout. When you're burned out, everything feels broken. Your offers feel wrong. Your content feels pointless. And your strategy feels like it's not working. But burnout is a capacity problem, not a business problem. You're not seeing your business clearly right now. You're seeing it through the lens of depletion. And I say this with so much love. If you're burned out, a rebrand is not the answer. Rest is the answer, and then a reset. The second reason is the comparison spiral. You've been watching someone else in your space and their business looks nothing like yours, and suddenly yours looks wrong. But here's the thing. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You don't know what's actually working for them. You don't know what they've tried and abandoned. You're making a massive decision based on incomplete information. And the third reason, you've hit a plateau and it's uncomfortable. Growth is not linear. Every business hits plateaus. And when you're in one, it's really tempting to interpret stagnation as a sign that something is fundamentally wrong. And sometimes it is, but usually a plateau means that you need to double down on what's already working, not pivot away from it. Then we have reason number 4, and this one is a little bit sneaky. It's that reinvention feels productive. Planning a rebrand, workshopping a new niche, overhauling your offers. It feels like you're doing something, but it's actually a form of avoidance. It's easier to dream about a new business than to do the hard, unsexy work of fixing the specific things that aren't working in your current one. All right, so let's get into the actual framework here. So when I am looking at whether my business needs a reset or when I'm helping someone figure this out, I look at 5 specific areas. And I call this the reset framework. And yes, I made that acronym work because I thought it was fun. So let's get into it. So the first letter is R, and that stands for results. So what results are you actually getting right now? Not what you think you should be getting, but what is actually happening. Are people buying? Are people engaging? Are people getting results from your work? If yes, even in small numbers, then your offers and your positioning are working. The problem is probably not what you think it is. If no one is buying and no one is engaging, then we dig a little bit deeper. But even then, that doesn't automatically mean reinvention. It usually means that we need to look at visibility, messaging, or the offer itself, not blow up the entire thing. Then we have E. E stands for energy, and this one is underrated. Where are you feeling energized in your business versus where are you feeling completely drained? Because sometimes what feels like this isn't working is actually just I've been doing this in a way that doesn't fit my life and I'm exhausted. Your business model might need to shift. Your schedule might need to shift. But that's not reinvention, that's alignment. And there's a big difference there. Then we have S, which stands for systems. And this is where I see so many businesses falling apart. Not because the strategy that they have is wrong or because the offers are wrong, but because there are no systems holding things together. When you don't have systems, everything feels harder than it is. Your content feels chaotic. Client work feels overwhelming. Your launches feel like they're being held together with duct tape and prayer. And when everything feels hard, it's really easy to tell yourself that your business model is broken. But sometimes the business model itself is fine. You just need systems to support it. Then we have E, execution. Are you actually doing things that drive results? I know it's an uncomfortable question, but this is really important. Sometimes the strategy is solid. The offers are good and the audience is there. And the reason things aren't working is that the execution has slipped. Maybe you stopped showing up like you were before. Maybe you stopped showing up consistently with your content. Maybe you stopped pitching. Maybe you're saying yes to everything and not following through on anything. Again, this is not a reinvention problem. It's a focus and capacity problem. Then we have the last letter, T, which stands for timeline. How long have you actually given this? Because this is the one that trips people up the most. We're wired for immediate results. We launch something, and if it doesn't sell out within the first week, we decide that it didn't work. Most things in business take a bit longer than you expect them to. Most strategies take 3 to 6 months to show real traction. So if you've been at something for 4 weeks and it hasn't taken off, that's really not enough data to reinvent your whole business. That's barely enough time to get started. So those are your 5 areas: results, energy, systems, execution, and timeline, which stands for reset. So I want you to go through those 5 lenses before you make any big decisions about your business direction. So once you've done that audit and you know that you need a reset, not a reinvention, what does that actually look like in practice? So a reset has 3 phases. The first phase is clarity. You get honest about what is and isn't working. Not what you feel is or isn't working, but what the data is actually showing you. You look at your numbers, your engagement, your client feedback, and your own energy, and then you identify the specific things that need to change. This is not a vibe check. This is a strategic audit, and it feels uncomfortable, but it's so much better than spending for months in reinvention mode. The second phase is simplification. A reset almost always involves cutting something. You probably have too many offers, too many platforms, too many things in your content calendar, and too many commitments. A reset says, what is the highest leverage thing that I should be focused on right now? And what do I need to let go of to actually focus on it? This is where most people resist. We want to add. We think more is always the answer, but in a reset, less is almost always the right move. Then we have phase 3, which is recommitment. You pick your lane and then you go all in. Not for a week, not until it gets hard. You commit for a real period of time. I say a minimum of 90 days, and then you execute consistently. And here's the thing about recommitment. It's not exactly exciting. It doesn't have the dopamine hit of a new offer or a new direction or a new idea, but it works and it compounds. And in 90 days, you'll be so glad that you didn't blow everything up. Now, I want to be real with you about something. We're recording this right at the tail end of summer, and I know so many of you are in exactly this place. You had a slower summer, which was either intentional or just kind of happened, and now you're looking at your business heading into fall, and you're thinking, I need to make some moves. And that feeling is right. You do need to make some moves. But the moves you need are not a full reinvention. They are a strategic reset heading into Q4, one of the biggest earning quarters of the year for most entrepreneurs. You need to get your schedule right before the school chaos hits. You need to get clear on your Q4 goals and your revenue targets. And you need to get your content batch so that you're not scrambling every single week. And you also need to get your system set up so that the busiest, most chaotic months of the year, October, November, and December, don't take you out completely. And that is exactly what the CEO Mom Fall Reset is designed to do. It is a 4-week live program starting on August 25th. 4 weeks, 4 focus areas, your schedule, your Q4 goals, your content systems, and your delegation and automation setup. At the end of the 4 weeks, you're going to be more set up for fall and Q4 than you have ever been. We're talking live weekly trainings, done-for-you templates and blueprints, community support, and Q&A calls with me in October, November, and December, the months when you're going to need it the most. And if you're a CEO Mom Summer Camp alum, I have a special alumni price for you. It's $297 instead of the regular $397, but that alumni pricing closes August 21st, which is coming up pretty quickly. So if you've been thinking about it, then this is your sign. Head to the link in the show notes to grab your spot. And even if you're not a summer camp alum, doors are still open just at the regular price of $397. Okay, so let me leave you with this. Your business is not broken. It might be tired, it might be cluttered, it might need some focused attention and some strategic adjustments. But the thing you've been building, it has value. Your audience is real, your expertise is real, and your offers are real. A reset honors all of that, whereas a reinvention throws it away. So before you blow it all up, and I mean this in the most loving way possible, run it through the reset framework and get honest about what's actually happening versus what you're feeling in a hard moment. Make targeted changes and recommit for 90 days. And then watch what happens when you stop starting over. And start following through. All right, that is it for today. If this episode hit home, I want you to share it with a business bestie who needs to hear it. Seriously, someone in your world needs this right now. I'll see you next week for our next episode. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another service-based mom who's building something real. And when you're ready to move from reactive business ownership to sustainable CEO leadership, your next step is waiting for you. You'll find the right path, whether that's the accelerator, the collective, or a deeper intensive by going to momsmakemoneycollective.com. You're not just building a business, you're building it your way sustainably, with profit, with margin, and with intention. Because hustle is optional, leadership isn't. I'll see you next week.